Hi there, my name is Fix Fox and welcome to Heroes of Might and Magic 2. This is the F-Heroes edition, and today I am pleased to present to you the hotkeys that you will find in the F-Heroes2 version. I'm trying to make this as quick as dirty as possible. Let's get out of this intro. You know what a hotkey is. You know how valuable hotkeys can be. If you know Heroes of Might and Magic 2, you know that it did not have a ton of fantastic, wonderful, useful hotkeys. The F-Heroes2 version does. Why aren't you playing the F-Heroes2 version? Let's dive right in. You'll be able to see my mouse. You'll be able to see my keyboard, of course. And that will be very useful just to make sure that we are all on the same page. So to get started here, let's talk about where we are going to find hotkeys here in Heroes of Might and Magic 2. Now, we're going to be able to take a look and see that they are here. In the bottom right, we just have to click on this section here, which is the file options. And we're able to then go into hotkeys. And as we do so, it will bring up all the hotkeys you can possibly use in the entire game. For example, we are in game currently, and we are able to view things like select a small map size, select a medium map size, large map size, extra large, etc., etc., etc. These are not going to be particularly useful to us at this time. These are something that are found in the main menu, but still we can see all the functionality with it here all the same. Hotkeys are only useful if you can bind them in a way that makes sense to you. So if I am to click on the right-hand column, that will give me the opportunity to highlight whatever key binding I want to rebind. In this instance, world map up left. I've now highlighted it. If I left click again on this right column, it will indicate what the command is, what the current binding is, and then from here, I simply click on whatever binding I want it to be. In this case, I'm just going to hit the letter Y. I must click on OK. I can't just hit Enter, which will usually do this for me. Otherwise, if I hit Enter, it'll put return as the hotkey. That's not what we want here. We're going to want to make sure we have the key bound to Y and then click OK. Otherwise, we're going to find ourselves in a little bit of trouble. And of course, I can click and I can bind them however I want. And when I want to come back and rebind it, I can left click again and bind it just by clicking on the appropriate key for me now. We are going to be mostly talking about not the keys that you'll find in the main game, but the keys that you'll find in game, and that's going to be basically from here on down. So the first place that I'm going to start off with talking about are going to be the places that you're going to find the most use out of. For example, here, these are going to be the keys that you're going to use a whole ton. Let's talk about those first. And that's starting off is the next hero function, the hero movement function, kingdom summary, cast spell, end turn, the adventure options, file options, and system options. So when I click on my heroes, say right now I'm on Kalindra. She's at the bottom of the stack. She's the third hero that I've purchased. I'm on Kalindra currently, and if I want to cycle to the next hero, I can either left click on this button, and it will send me now to Rebecca, who is at the top. So we went from Kalindra to Rebecca. And then if I hit this button again, it will take me on over to Ariel. And I can just keep going in a circle just to highlight the hero and figure out what I want to do with them at any given point. Or I can hit instead the hotkey of H and do the exact same thing. Rather than click on there, I can hit H. If I hold H, I will get dizzy very, very quickly, so we're not going to be doing that. That can be useful for a lot of reasons. And if we are, say, using Ariel to go to windmills and leprechaun patches, things like that, and it is not quite the beginning of a new week and I don't want to deal with her anymore, I can hit the Z button and she will now sleep. That will be indicated in her portrait in the upper right. That little star will indicate that she is now asleep. And so when I click on Rebecca and I hit H now instead, we're going to go straight to Kalindra. We are going to skip Ariel, and we will not go to Ariel back until we purposefully click on her portrait again and hit the Z button again. And now as you see, the little star is gone. No problems there. So we've now used H and Z to help us move through heroes one by one. Because I have these movement bars already predicated, sometimes I'm going to click somewhere in the darkness way over here. Maybe this journey will take my hero 2-3 turns, and I don't want to have to repath and re-navigate. I did a good job of it once. I just need to get through to the next deal. I can either click on the hero movement button, or I can hit the M button, and that will move my hero to wherever is already highlighted. So one more time, click on M and it will move me to wherever the green bar has highlighted. Next functionality I want to talk about is the Kingdom Summary. If I click on the K button, it will bring up my snapshot of my heroes, their skills, their artifacts, their armies, etc., etc. And then down here in the bottom, it will show me any mines and any resource generation that I have. It'll show me the things like the lighthouses here in the bottom right. And if I right click, it'll give me a nice little handy dandy tooltip. Right now I only have 1,000 gold, but if I had, say, a sawmill, it would say 1,000 gold and 2 wood per day. And from here, you can also do the same thing with your towns. I like this because I can see I have level 1 creatures, 2, 3, and 4, but I do not have the appropriate dwelling for the unicorns or the phoenixes. Very useful just to be able to have that functionality. And again, that is the button K. We'll bring that up. This is a good time to indicate that the escape and the enter buttons are also very important. In this window, I can hit either escape to bring me to this page, or I can hit the enter button. Both of those are essentially the same as clicking the exit button here in the bottom right. But sometimes there are instances where the choice is much more important than that. For example, if I click on Calindra and I hit the D button, it will do the same thing as hitting dismiss. Are you sure you want to dismiss this hero? If I hit escape, it will essentially be the same as hitting no. Or if I hit enter, that will be a yes. So if ever there's a yes, no, your no is escape and your yes is enter. Sometimes it is best simply to hit escape if you're not sure and not get yourself too caught up, because some of those verifications can get skipped right through if you're not careful. Like, are you really sure you want to dismiss this hero? You better be pretty sure. Another functionality I want to focus on is, say that I click here and I hit the M button, so now I've moved. I've learned Stone Skin now. I'll hit enter to do okay. But say that this was some other object on the map that I wanted to interact with again, but I don't want to click here and then move, and then click here and then move. Say that instead I just want to re-interact with it, like it's a trading post or something like that, an oracle. I can just hit space, and spacebar is default. Spacebar is whatever the default action for that hero on whatever square they're on, that will pop back up and they can re-interact with that. That can be incredibly useful if you are using stone liths or the other teleporting devices that you can find on the adventure map. So that was K with a little bit of extra we talked about. We also have this function here, which is cast spell. If I had an adventure map spell, I could hit the letter C and that would bring that up here. And right now I have no spells to cast. I have no concerns at this time. So otherwise we can use E for end turn. I can click here, and because I still have movement, it'll say, do you want to use this or not? I'm going to hit escape for no. Or I can just hit, again, the letter E to end my turn. And in this instance, I will hit enter for yes. All right. Adventure map options. If I hit the letter A, it'll bring up things like my view world, my puzzle map, my scenario information, or my digging. Note that I don't actually have to hit A and then the appropriate hotkey for these options. For example, view world, right here, I can hit the letter V and it will bring up the view world function. I don't actually have to go A and then V. I can just simply hit V from this adventure map and it knows that I'm trying to use that function. Likewise, instead of hitting A and then P for puzzle map, I can simply hit P and it will let me know what I do have for the puzzle map. And again, same thing for scenario information and digging. D for dig, I can't search here, and then I for scenario information. I do like scenario information because then, sometimes if there's a, what's my objective, et cetera, how many enemies does this scenario start with? I'm trying to keep track of people. Very important things there. Loss conditions. Then I have the file options. This is going to be with the F key. And from here I can do new game, load game, save game, quit, etc. The one that I really want to point out is S. Again, just like with the adventure map options, I don't have to click onto F for file options and then hit S for save. From just this part in the game, I can just hit S and it will bring up this option to do some quick saving which I'm a big fan of. Otherwise, if I'm going to load, if I'm going to do a new game, or if I'm going to quit, I'm not even going to tell you what those hotkeys are, because chances are you're probably going to want to make double sure that you're not quitting the game right in the middle, or you're not starting a new game right in the middle. That might ruin your day. Otherwise, we have this last one is O, for in the bottom right, the file options, or system options, excuse me. And that brings us to this previous page that we were at before. Things like the interface, where you can be good or evil. You can show the interface at all or not. I always do. The scroll speed, the mouse cursor color, black and white or with color. Your choice, whatever you so desire. And then hotkeys, of course, in there. I would encourage you to keep text support on. This toggles the text support mode. It gives you extra information, and I'm a big fan of that. This is also where you can find the option to do auto battles. If you have this option on, this is what's default. You're not going to automatically have FHeroes2 fight the battles for you and then let you know whether or not you could or should refight the battles yourself. You can hit auto resolve, where your hero will cast spells without your say so. I always keep it on auto with no spells, just so that way the AI does not waste my spell points on a fight that I don't want them to. So that was, again, next hero. So H, M, K, C, E, A, F, and O. Make sense? Clear as mud? Alrighty, let's continue here. I do want to point out, though you cannot see it on the keyboard function, the overlay I have here, I'm currently using my up, down, right, and left keys to simply move the map one little tile to the up, down, left, or right as I'm clicking on this. This can be useful, especially if I am in the adventure map options. I hit P for puzzle map. Sometimes I can just use this to move myself one little section over, and that can help me line up my puzzle map in a very perfect way. Some people prefer to use just this function with the arrow keys, so that way they can not have to worry about the scroll that you'll see on the mouse otherwise, and I understand that as well. We also do, when I'm not clicked on a hero, if I'm clicked on a town per se, I can use the numpad keys as well to do that. Again, it's not showing up on my overlay because I just don't have those functions there, but I'm using the numpad now to do the same thing as the arrow keys, unless, again, I'm clicked on a hero, in which case it will try and make me move with the numpad instead. Let's move on to the towns. There's a lot of hotkeys that you can find in your towns. In the same way, first and foremost, if I had multiple towns, I can hit the letter T, just like I did for my heroes, and I hit the letter H to cycle from hero to hero. I can be on towns and click the letter T, and that will cycle me from one town to the next, one castle. Right now I only have the one, and so the letter T is not going to help us very much, but all the same, let's get into this town. I just hit the enter button to enter into that town. And I want to show you that you can do something very interesting here, where all dwellings are immediately bound to their corresponding level in numerals. For example, the level 1 sprites, I can hit the number 1 and it will bring up their dwelling immediately. I can hit the number 2 and bring up the dwarves, which are my second tier creatures, 3 for the grand elves, and 4 for the druids. And in this way, because FHeroes2 immediately assumes that you're going to want to purchase the max amount of troops, you can navigate your town very quickly if you so desire. For example, say that I know that I want to buy all my sprites and all of my, let's say all of my druids, but I don't want to buy my elves or my dwarves. I can hit 1, enter, 4, enter. And that quickly, I've purchased all those troops with no problems. Alternatively, I can hit W, and that will get me over to my well. W will bring me to the well where I can see this page. And then I can, if I desire, hit the letter M, and it will allow me to purchase all the troops that I possibly can with the money I have. In this case, I can't buy all 14 dwarves. I just don't have enough money, and that's just fine. And if I don't want to purchase this, of course, escape is for no, enter is for yes. But W and then M will get you there. If you're simply on this page here, clicking M will bring you to your marketplace instead of allowing you to try and purchase all your troops in the well. So make sure if you're trying to purchase all your troops and not go to your marketplace that you hit W and then M. Otherwise, you'll end up here and be scratching your head just a little bit. One other thing I want to show you is that if I am to purchase, say, my elves, and I go to just my regular elves, I buy one regular one. If I'm in this section here, I can hit U to do this upgrade function and then upgrade them in that regard. Hit enter and then they will upgrade automatically. But you have a lot of functionality there that you can do. Okay, so we've talked about dwellings 1 through 6. We've talked about the well. We've talked about the marketplace, which is M. We also have things like S for Mage Guild, N for Shipyard, if I had one, T for Thieves Guild, and R for Tavern. So again, one more time, 1 through 6, W, M, S, N for Shipyard, T for Thieves Guild, R for Tavern. Okay, and then maybe the most important to me is B, and that'll bring me to this page where I can build. B is for construction, B is for build. You're going to be the fastest Heroes of Might and Magic 2 player that anybody's ever seen. I'm excited for you to be a world shaker here. Now, last thing I really want to talk about is when I'm in a battle, because battles are a pretty important part of the game. Now, let me just hit the move button here with letter M. And it's a glorious battle. If I hit the restart button here, and I'm not sure if escape or enter is the one that I really want to go for. So to be safe, I'm going to hit restart just so I can manually fight this battle because I have that functionality with the FHeroes2. As the rogues go across the battlefield, I will have the option to first and foremost hit spacebar. That will skip whatever unit is currently highlighted, whatever unit's turn it is. So the sprites are going to, well, they're going to skip. And then the dwarves will come up next because it's their deal. I can now, if I so desire, hit the A button, and the A button will send us into auto combat. I have to hit the A button one more time if I wanted that to end. Don't make a liar out of me. Okay, so we eventually got there where it looks like it might be a little bit slow on the draw, and that's okay. But A is going to give us that auto combat function. That's the button that you'll find otherwise right here. But we can hit the letter A and just save ourselves some time. We can always hit the C button. C will bring up our spell book for our hero. We can always hit the S for surrender. Because we're fighting these creatures and not an enemy hero, we cannot surrender at this time. We understand that. So instead, we would hit R for retreat. Do we want to retreat? The answer is no, not right now, not at this time. And then if we want to open up some of the battle options, we can hit the O button. Otherwise, it is the other button down here in the bottom right. That is the other button that will bring up our options for this game. So let's hit that now. And I just want to make sure you can see some of these things. These two boxes here. These are exclusive to the FHeroes2 edition, and they are tremendous. I'm a huge, huge fan of these, and let me just make sure that you're aware of what these do. So, the turn order is focused up here in the top. This turn order basically saves me from having to go and right-click on these troops and saying, okay, rogues are speed 5, and my sprites are speed 4, who's going to go first? Otherwise, you find yourself trying to count it up and make sure that you're fighting the fight as effectively as possible. This takes the guesswork out of it, and it will just tell you who's going next so you can make the best decision. I'm a big fan of that option. I am probably going to never turn order off for the rest of my life. I can then also go here to damage info. And when this is on, as it currently is, I can take my sprites and I can mouse over an enemy and it will pop up with this little dialog box. And it will say that my sprites are going to do anywhere between 3 to 7 damage. It will calculate the low range and the upper range of damage, and it will indicate what losses the enemy will take based upon the max or the minimum amount of damage. Very valuable, and again, saves you the trouble from right-clicking and saying, oh, my attack skill is this, my defense skill is this. I know that these are not particularly hotkeys, but I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't talk to you about them. The only other thing that we could do is this auto spell casting. If you don't feel comfortable with the spell casting, if you think that the computer can do a better job than you, number one, man, just give it a try. Just you're only going to get better if you try and fail and make successes. And you're probably going to make failures and you're probably going to have successes. But if you really don't want to, you can always just let the computer cast for you. And that it's your call. It's your choice. I would just work on getting better at the game because it's worthwhile. The magic, it's Heroes of Might and Magic. Work on the magic. That's like 50% of the game, according to the title. Otherwise, we can do things like shadow movement, shadow cursor. Okay, I'm wasting time. Let's get back to the hotkeys. Otherwise, the last thing I really want to show you is this. If I hit the letter Q, the Q button will say, are you sure you want to finish the battle in auto mode? And wherever the fight is at that point, the computer will then finish it. So I'm going to hit enter for yes. And from this point, the computer will calculate that, yeah, based off of turn order, based off of strength of armies and where everything's at, you're going to lose this fight. And there's nothing you can do about it because you're the one that hit Q to end the battle that way. So we lose our hero. But say then that we come back with another hero and we fight the fight ourselves. Sometimes you will find that just by keeping your very, very fast flyers on this side of the map, instead of sending them across the battlefield, you can save a whole ton of troops that you would otherwise lose. Flying your troops into the teeth of the enemy's defense can sometimes get your whole stack of dragons killed, your whole stack of gargoyles. So maybe all you do is you use the spacebar to skip, and then you hit Q to finish the battle in auto mode, hit yes, and it will fight the fight for you at that point, wherever it is. Now, I think in the first one that we lost no sprites. This time we lost 5 sprites because we didn't move them. But from wherever the battle is at that point, the computer will then fight the fight, and you can have a little bit of control over the battlefield from thence on. If you know you're going to win and it's just a matter of time, hit the Q and finish up the battle very quickly. So those are the options that we have in battle. The last thing I want to show you is some things you can do to manage your army. Now, if I hit Shift, Control, or Alt without highlighting any stacks of troops in my armies, I have some very interesting functions. Let's start with the left shift. So I got my left shift held down, and now I left click on my sprites. And the stack of sprites splits into 2 stacks. Whatever the stack size is, that was 12 sprites. I left click shift, or left shift click, and it split it into 2 stacks of 6. Left shift, left click, 6 into 3 and 3. Very, very useful just to very quickly split your stacks of sprites. If I want them all to come back again, without highlighting the portrait, without left clicking on any given portrait, I can hit the left Alt button and then left click, and all of the troops of that particular type, wherever they are slotted in, will all join into that one area that I am hovering over. So I can hit Shift, left click, Shift, left click, Shift, left click, and this time I want to hit Alt, left click on this middle one. And I can get pretty fast. I can get pretty darn fast at moving these troops. I keep hitting spacebar. That's a user error. That's not the game. That's just me. But a lot of value there. Sometimes you for strategic purposes in game instead want to just split off one unit. Very simple as well, and that's when you hit the left control. If I hit left control, I don't highlight and I just left click, I will break off one stack into any available slots in the army, and then I can again Alt left click, and it'll bring them all back together. So again, Alt left click, Shift to split it in half, Alt to bring them back, and Control to split off one single unit at a time. Pretty nifty. The other thing I do want to show you is if I do highlight the portrait and I Shift left click, I can then either do the manual thing that I just was doing there before, or I can highlight the troop, Shift left click into an empty box, and I can fast separate them into slots. I currently have 12 sprites here that I'm dealing with. And if I want to take those 12 sprites and I want to evenly split them into 4 different slots, I can hit enter. And now I have 3, 3, 3, and 3. And that's just another quick way I can do that. So highlight, Shift left click, 3 stacks. This time it's 4, 4, and 4 out of my 12. Very, very useful to make sure that you're just going through all this as quickly as you possibly can. If I were to dismiss the dwarves, I would have the opportunity to do the same thing, this time into 5. And going from there. So folks, you got a lot of options while you're arranging your troops. You've got a ton of options in the adventure map. You've got a ton of options in your town. You've got a ton of options in the battlefield, and you've got a lot of different ways that you can manage your troops throughout this game. I hope that these hotkeys are useful for you. You can, again, find all these hotkeys in the bottom right. That's where you got to go if you're in game, and just find those hotkeys, go to them, and pick out the ones that are going to be the most useful for you and bind them in a way that makes the most sense. You're going to find yourself flying through these scenarios. You're going to find yourself enjoying the game even more, and you're going to find yourself to be an even better general as you marshal your troops towards victory. And I can't wait to eventually get the opportunity to see you on the field of battle when we are able to play player versus player. Folks, I hope this has been useful for you. Please take care. My name is FixFox, and I am out.